Billionaire discovered his maid's daughter, 12, washing dishes at 3 a.m. The heartwarming reason. Andrew Miller, a self-made billionaire, sat in his penthouse with the city lights twinkling like stars against the sultry New York night. Yet, for all his wealth, every luxurious chair, priceless painting, and glimmering gadget, it was a hollow shell, a stage set for a play where he was the only actor. He was in his late 30s, knee-deep in spreadsheets and emails, feeling the ache of solitude creeping in. When was the last time he heard his children's laughter? When had he last shared a moment with Sarah, his wife? The fridge hummed a lonely tune, reflecting a life filled with success, but devoid of warmth. Then the noise cut through his fog. It was unusual, a scraping sound coming from the kitchen. His irritation peaked as he walked toward the sound, ready to chide the cook for being so careless at this hour. But as he stepped closer, the sight stopped him dead in his tracks. Sophia, the maid's 12-year-old daughter, was there, a tiny figure standing on a stool, scrubbing away at the dishes in the dim light. Initially, annoyance bubbled within him. Why was she here, at this hour of all times? Yet, the deeper Andrew looked, the more he understood. Her brows were furrowed in concentration, her fingers deftly working over a pile of greasy plates, determination glimmering in her wide eyes. It was raw, it was real, an unsettling reminder of the struggles he'd left behind when wealth engulfed him. As he took a step closer, flashbacks swarmed him, memories of his own childhood, nights filled with shared meals, laughter, and tired but content faces after a long day of hard work. His heart tightened. Sophia's world, filled with love and sacrifice, put his own emptiness into perspective. The contrast shook him to his core. Should he scold her and retreat to his bubbles of privilege, or should he engage in this moment of authenticity? "Hey, you don't have to do that," he mumbled, guilt gnawing at him. Sophia looked up, startled. "I want to help my mom. She worked hard for everything." Her voice trembled without fear, a voice filled with the survival spirit that lingers in those who know struggle. The tension was thick, the weight of responsibility looming. Driven by the sudden mix of admiration and guilt, Andrew tried to reach out. He offered to pay for her books, providing scholarships for her schooling, only to see her distrust peeking through her innocent demeanor. Each gesture, meant to help and erase years of privilege, instead pushed her further into her shell. "I don't want charity," she shot back, fire in her eyes, cutting through his wealthy facade. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The fallout from his well-intentioned gifts gripped him harder than any stock market dip. Andrew found himself face to face with conflicting beliefs about merit and privilege. Shouldn't hard work be rewarded without strings attached? Yet the backlash wrapped him in a suffocating blanket of realization. He had built walls around himself, forsaking the one thing that could fill his empty heart: human connection. Standing there, with the cacophony of the nighttime city in the backdrop, Andrew faced a crossroads. Could he be brave enough to break free from his insulated bubble and step into Sophia's world, a world that was vibrant with struggle, but rich with spirit? Hope stirred within him. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way forward, a road beyond wealth, and a journey toward redemption. As he watched Sophia return to her dishwashing, the flicker of determination in her eyes ignited something long dormant in his heart. Could he find a way to bridge the chasm between their lives? The question lingered, leaving hope and uncertainty swirling in the air around them. Andrew took a deep breath, the city's minute sounds humming around them, yet all he could hear was the rhythm of his own heartbeat, a rhythm that seemed to sync with Sophia's diligent scrubbing. There was something magnetic about her resolve, an energy that drew him in. For the first time in years, the billionaire felt a crack in his cold shield. "Why do you work so late?" he asked, forcing the words out, the weight of his voice surprising even himself. Sophia paused, glancing at him with those wide, soulful eyes. "I can't let my mom do everything. She's tired from working all day. Someone has to help." The simplicity of her answer stung him. In her mind, duty was intertwined with love. In his, wealth isolated him. "I understand that," he said, unsure of how to proceed. "But don't you want to, I don't know, play or relax?" A small smile tugged at his lips. "That's what kids do. I have to be responsible. Kids can't just play when their family needs help." The raw honesty hit like a punch, leaving him speechless. He leaned against the kitchen counter, feeling the cool surface against his suit. "I didn't have it easy like you, but I don't remember working so hard at your age," he said, reminiscing about less complicated days. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Sophia didn't hesitate. A doctor. Her ambition was like a breath of fresh air, sparking something deep within him. "I want to help people, just like my mom helps me." Andrew couldn't help but smile back. The familiarity of her dream brought a warmth he hadn't felt in years. "That's really admirable. You know, a doctor has to study hard. It takes years." "I know," she replied matter-of-factly, "but I'll do it. I will find a way." He watched her, a fire igniting in the pit of his stomach. Here was a girl, barely 12, with a heart full of dreams, yet burdened by responsibilities that many adults wouldn't dare take on. The thought socked him in the gut. How many dreams had he shelved in the name of success? Maybe I could help you with that," he finally offered, cautiously testing the waters. Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. "How?" "Tutoring? I have resources, books, guidance, mentors. I can help you with school." The words tumbled out, desperate and hopeful. He longed to bridge that divide, to show her that not all privileged help came wrapped in condescension. Sophia cocked her head to the side, her brow furrowing. "But why? Don't you have enough already?" With the city behind him, he stood vulnerable, stripped bare of wealth. "I think I have too much of the wrong things. I've lost myself. Maybe helping you will help me find my way back." Silence fell between them, heavy and contemplative. "Okay," she said finally, "but I want to earn it. No charity." A smile broke through his conflicted thoughts. "Deal. How about we set up a plan? We could start with math or whatever you need." The faintest spark of hope flickered in Sophia's eyes. "Can we start tomorrow?" "Absolutely." As she returned to her scrubbing, Andrew found himself more alive than he had felt in years. The opportunity to connect, to rediscover parts of himself long forgotten, shone bright. Yet doubt still lingered. Would his offer be enough? With a heart slightly lighter, he turned to leave, when a little voice stopped him. "Mr. Miller?" "Yes?" "Thanks for talking to me." Her appreciation wrapped around him like a warm shawl, chasing his doubts away. Stepping into the coolness of the night, a thought consumed him. This connection could lead him down paths he had never considered. What other lessons waited in the shadows of this unexpected friendship? As he walked away, the questions lingered like an unfinished melody. What would tomorrow bring? And could it change not just Sophia's life, but his too? The next day dawned bright and clear, the sun spilling golden light across the city like warm syrup. Andrew found himself pacing in his office, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursing through him. He hadn't felt this way in ages, almost like a kid waiting for Christmas morning. Would Sophia show up eager to learn? Would he be able to make a difference? At precisely 3 o'clock, there was a knock on his office door. He looked up to see Sophia standing there, her tiny frame wrapped in a jacket slightly too big for her. She looked a little nervous, but her eyes sparkled with determination. "Hi, Mr. Miller," she said, clutching a worn-out backpack against her chest. "Hey, Sophia, ready to get started?" he asked, doing his best to mask his own nerves. "Yup," she replied, confidence filling her voice. He gestured towards a small table where he had spread out a few math books, a whiteboard, and some colorful markers. She walked in, her gaze bouncing around the room, taking everything in. "Wow, this is cool," she said, the corners of her mouth lifting into a smile. Andrew grinned back. "Thanks. Let's start with something simple. Tell me what you're struggling with." As they began working through problems, he quickly realized that her struggle wasn't a lack of intelligence, it was a lack of time. She understood the material, but hadn't had time to master it. With every problem they tackled, he could see her confidence growing. There was something magical about watching her light up with understanding, like a dim bulb suddenly shining bright. They spent hours together, laughing and learning. Before Andrew knew it, time had flown, and they were lost in conversation, discussing her dreams of becoming a doctor, her favorite subjects, and even her life at home. "Do you really think you can be a doctor?" Andrew asked, his curiosity piqued. "Of course," she beamed. "I can't wait to help people. Mom says it takes a lot of hard work, but if I keep going, I'll get there." Her optimism washed over him, and he felt his own dreams flicker to life. He had buried his own hopes so deeply, afraid to take risks after his father's harsh lessons about failure. Yet here was Sophia, a young girl with a rich tapestry of dreams, remaining steadfast in her belief. "Do you ever think about the first step?" he probed, leaning closer, genuinely interested. "Getting good grades," she replied without missing a beat, "and finding someone to help me." Her honesty hit him hard. Was he not doing this for himself as well? As their session wrapped up, Andrew felt a strange knot in his chest. It was a knot that tethered him to this moment, to her, and the realization that he was becoming attached. He was a mentor, yes, but also a friend, and maybe even more. "Thank you for today," Sophia said, her eyes gleaming with gratitude. "Can we do this again tomorrow?" "Definitely," Andrew assured, a slight tremor running through him. As she turned to leave, a thought struck him. "Hey, how about we make a plan? We can set some goals together." Her entire face lit up. That would be awesome! The promise of tomorrow filled the air with excitement. He might just help Sophia change her future, but it felt like she was changing his as well. But what Andrew didn't realize was that shared struggles could lead to even deeper connections. Tomorrow would just be the beginning of their journey together, and the more they uncovered about each other, the more intertwined their fates would become. How could their burgeoning bond withstand the trials yet to come? The sun rose on another day, casting soft rays through Andrew's office window. He was already there, heart racing with anticipation. An hour before Sophia was due to arrive, he could hardly sit still. Each tick of the clock felt like a drumbeat urging him on. Would today be a continuation of yesterday's breakthrough? When she finally walked in, he could see that she had transformed overnight. The spark in her eyes shone even brighter. "Good afternoon, Mr. Miller," she chirped, her backpack slung over her shoulder like armor for the challenges ahead. "Hey, Sophia, you ready to keep learning?" he asked, smiling at her enthusiasm. "Always!" She placed her bag down with a sense of purpose, already scanning the table of math books before her. They dove into the lessons, mathematical puzzles turning into games, her laughter filling the room with a warmth that chased away all his lingering doubts. Each equation she solved seemed to lift not only her spirit, but his as well. "Want to tackle something a little harder today?" Andrew suggested, raising an eyebrow in challenge. Bring it on, Sophia responded, a grin spreading wide on her face. Midway through a particularly challenging set of problems, Andrew noticed a moment of hesitation. Sophia bit her lip, her brow furrowing in concentration. Rather than pushing her to continue, Andrew took a step back. "What's on your mind?" She paused, her hands resting on the desk. "Sometimes I feel like I'm not enough. Like maybe my dreams are too big." Her words hung in the air, heavy with vulnerability. Andrew's heart ached for her. In a world that seemed to constantly demand perfection, how could she, so young and lively, be shouldering such doubt? "Let me tell you something," he began, his voice steady. "I've had dreams too, but fear held me back for a long time. The important thing isn't just the goal you're aiming for. It's about every small step you take along the way. Each attempt, even if it's hard, brings you closer to your dreams." She looked up at him, her eyes wide and questioning. "Really?" she asked softly, her hope taut in the air like a thin string. "Absolutely," he affirmed, leaning forward. "You have something most adults don't, this unfiltered belief in yourself. Keep that. It's powerful." For a moment, they were suspended in a shared understanding. Sophia took a deep breath, a flicker of resolve finding its place in her gaze. It was as if she had just drawn strength from his words. They finished their session with a newfound momentum, tackling problems that felt like mountains but turned into mere hills beneath their combined effort. As Sophia tidied up her things, Andrew felt that familiar knot in his chest again. He was impressed by her resilience, and more than that, he found a warmth blooming in his heart, a connection that felt both electric and terrifying. "See you tomorrow?" she asked, and her slight hesitation betrayed a hint of needing to know if their bond was growing too. "Of course," he replied, wanting to reassure her. After she left, Andrew gazed out the window.
The city was alive, but all he saw was Sophia's smile, and the thought clanked through his mind again. Had she just given him a newfound purpose beyond teaching? Was he ready to embrace the unknowns that lay ahead? But little did they know, challenges awaited just around the corner that could shake the foundation of their friendship. Would they withstand the pressure together, or would misunderstanding pull them apart? The next day came with a heavy sense of anticipation, a stark contrast to the bright morning sun streaming through Andrew's office window. He found himself pacing, unable to concentrate. Was he ready to dive deeper into Sophia's doubts, or had he opened a door he might not be able to close? When she arrived, she looked even brighter than before. "Good morning," Sophia beamed, though Andrew noticed the slight edge to her enthusiasm. Had something changed overnight? "Ready for another adventure in math?" he asked, trying to uphold the casual energy they had shared the day before. "Absolutely," she replied, but there was a flicker in her eyes he couldn't ignore. He set out a series of new problems, watching as she dove in, but the tension in the air thickened as she hesitated again. "Do you want to talk?" he gently probed, hoping his concern would give her the courage to share. Sophia bit her lip, contemplating her words. "Mr. Miller, I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about dreams and believing in myself." She took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "What if my dreams are so big that they're just not meant for me?" His heart sank. She was still wrestling with doubt. "Sophia, big dreams are meant to challenge us," he said, leaning forward. "They push us to be more than we think we can be. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust that you'll find your way." "But what if I fail?" she asked, a quiver in her voice revealing the weight of her fears. "Then you learn. You grow. Failure isn't the end. It's just a stepping stone." He felt the urgency to reassure her, his voice blending warmth and firmness. "Every successful person has failed before they found their path. It's part of the process." Sophia nodded, still unsure. He could see the conflict in her eyes, a battle between the dreams she wished to chase and the fears that held her back. "Let's make a deal," he proposed. "For every problem you tackle today, we'll also talk about one dream you have. Let's explore them together. And who knows, maybe they won't seem so far away." Her expression shifted, curiosity igniting a light behind her eyes. "Okay, I can try that." As they worked through the math problems, their conversation flowed more freely. Sophia shared bits of her dreams, becoming an artist, traveling, even writing a book. With each mention, her hesitations faded a little more, replaced with a spark of ambition she seemed to find within herself. When they finished for the day, Andrew felt lighter. "See? You're stronger than you think."
He smiled at her, but it faltered as he noticed a shadow cross her face. "But what if my mom doesn't believe in my dreams?" Sophia's voice shook slightly. "What if she thinks I'm wasting time? She works so hard, and I don't want to disappoint her." Andrew's heart ached at her words. "You have to let her see your passion," he said softly. "You owe it to yourself to pursue what makes you feel alive. If you don't chase your dreams, you'll never know what could have been." The gravity of their conversation settled between them, and for the first time, Andrew caught a glimpse of just how deep the struggle was for this young girl. It wasn't just about math. It was about so much more. As they prepared to part ways, Sophia hesitated at the door, turning back to him. "Do you really believe I can do it? That I'll be okay?" "More than anything," he replied earnestly. But as he watched her leave, a nagging thought crept in. Was he giving her false hope? What if, amid their growth together, reality hit too hard? He leaned against the desk, staring at the door she had just walked through. The thrill of possibility was there, but so was the fear of what might lie ahead. What if the struggles ahead were greater than either of them were prepared for? The next session would require more than just math. It would demand honesty, bravery, and perhaps a reckoning with dreams that might fade away like smoke in the wind. Would they be ready for what came next? The following session arrived too soon, the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. Andrew was seated at his desk, acknowledging the bittersweet thrill of being part of Sophia's journey. Her dreams were enormous, and they carried the weight that could crush a fragile spirit. Would he be enough to hold her up? When she stepped into the room, her bright smile was dimmed slightly, shadows lingering in her eyes. "Morning," she said softly. The lightness from their last meeting seemed to hang by a thread. "Hey there! Ready for some math magic?" he encouraged, trying to draw out her spark. "Sure," she replied, but her voice lacked its usual excitement. Today felt different. Her dreams, instead of igniting passion, seemed to weigh heavy on her small shoulders. As they dove into the problems, Andrew daringly ventured, "Why don't we start with a dream today? Something that lights you up. You can share, and we'll tackle some math along with it." Sophia's gaze dropped to her notebook, her pencil tapping against the page. I want to go to art school." Her confession slipped out like a whisper, almost drowned by the nervousness surrounding it. "Art school? That's amazing!" he exclaimed, genuinely excited. "What about art speaks to you?" "I love creating. I can tell stories through my drawings. But what if—" Her voice trailed off, doubt creeping back in, as if it had never really gone away. "What if they think I'm not good enough?" The question hung between them, thick as fog. "You won't know unless you try. Remember the last time we talked about failure? It can teach us, make us stronger. You're passionate, and that matters more than perfection." Sophia looked up, studying his face. "You really think so?" The flicker of hope appeared again, like the hint of sunlight peeking through a storm cloud. "Absolutely. Talent and hard work will get you there, but you must allow yourself to dream despite the uncertainty. He watched her absorb his words, wanting to break through the armor she wore against disappointment. She nodded, a slight smile attempting to break through her worries. They moved through more math problems, their conversation occasionally shifting to artists and famous stories of struggle. With each shared laugh, Sophia came a little more alive. Just as they wrapped up their session, Andrew noticed her eyes glimmering with something new, an ambition ignited by self-belief. But then her expression changed, a wave of concern washing over her. What if my mom finds out I want to go to art school? What if she thinks I'm throwing everything away? Why not show her your passion? Invite her into your dreams instead of keeping them hidden, he suggested, hoping to plant the seed of courage in her heart. Maybe, but what if she doesn't understand? Sophia's brow furrowed, her voice tinged with fear. Andrew's heart twisted. Some people take time to understand. It's like math. Sometimes you don't see the answer right away. He paused, wanting to provide more. But if you communicate with her, there's a chance she'll surprise you. As she gathered her things, Sophia lingered near the door, her expression thoughtful. Do you really think she might support me? I believe you'll create a bridge. Open the door and let her in. With hope stirring in the depths of her eyes, Sophia stepped into the hallway, her last words hanging in the air like a fragile promise. Thank you, Mr. Miller. I'll try. But as Andrew leaned back in his chair, he felt a wave of uncertainty crash over him. He couldn't just be a guide. He might need to prepare her for disappointment, too. Was he empowering her to dream or setting her up for a fall? The next session promised to strip away more layers of fear and doubt, testing both their resolve. Would they find a way through the maze of familial expectations and uncharted ambitions, or would reality deliver a crushing blow? The following week arrived, and as Andrew prepared for Sophia's next session, he felt the anxiety creeping into his chest like an unwelcome guest. He'd replayed their last conversation in his mind over and over. Would she have the courage to share her dreams with her mother? Each tick of the clock somehow added to his own unease, the specter of disappointment looming. When Sophia entered, her expression was a mixture of determination and apprehension. "Hey, Mr. Miller," she said, her voice holding a weight he hadn't expected. "Hey, Sophia, it's great to see you." "How was your week?" he asked, not wanting to seem overly eager, but curious nonetheless. She hesitated, biting her lip as she fiddled with the strap of her backpack. "I talked to my mom," she finally admitted, her eyes darting around the room as if to escape the scrutiny of the thoughts she was wrestling with. Andrew's heart leaped. "And? What did she say?" "She didn't take it well," Sophia confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "She wants me to focus on school, on getting good grades. She said that art is just a hobby, that I should get a real job." Each word fell like painful raindrops soaking into the atmosphere and creating an awkward silence. Andrew felt a swell of sympathy. "I'm sorry to hear that," he said softly, wanting to provide a safe space for her feelings. "That must have been really tough to hear." "Yeah," she sighed, dragging her fingers through her hair in frustration. "I thought she might see that it makes me happy, that it's not just a hobby." Andrew leaned forward, wanting to encourage her. "Sometimes parents worry. They want the best for us, even if it's not what we truly want. Did you tell her how important this is to you?" Sophia shook her head, sorrow etched on her face. "I tried, but it's like she just saw her plans for me crashing down. I don't think she understands how much I love it." Her voice wavered, and Andrew's heart ached for her. They were sitting in that small, quiet room, filled with dreams and fears, while the outside world buzzed with indifference. "You have every right to chase your dreams, Sophia," Andrew said earnestly. "Art is just as legitimate as any other career. It's about expressing yourself and finding your voice." Sophia looked at him, tears threatening to spill over. "But what if she never comes around? What if I can't make it?" Every artist faces that question, trust me. But often the biggest obstacle is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection. You've already taken a huge step by mentioning it to her. What if you wrote her a letter or showed her some of your art? Illustrate why it matters to you. Sophia's brows furrowed as she considered this. A letter? I don't know if that would help. It could be a great way for her to see your passion without the heat of a face-to-face confrontation, Andrew suggested. Sometimes the written word helps ease those difficult conversations. Her mind seemed to be racing, and Andrew couldn't help but notice the way her spirit began to flicker in the midst of those shadows. You really think so? Absolutely. It might just show her a side of you she hasn't seen before. As they wrapped up the session, a glimmer of hope appeared in her eyes. Okay, I'll try. But what if she still doesn't get it? Andrew offered her a reassuring smile. Then you keep trying. Remember, art is about sharing who you are, and that's a journey for both you and your mom. As Sophia left, Andrew couldn't shake the nagging feeling that the road ahead was filled with uncertainty. He felt a pull to guide her further, but wondered if his words would be enough. Would she break through her mother's barriers, or would she be forced to conform to someone else's dreams? The journey to understanding was never simple, but he hoped she was ready for the next big step, even if it led to heartbreak. Would Sophia have the courage to show her truth, or would fear grip her once more? The days drifted slowly for Sophia after that challenging session. Each morning felt heavy with the weight of unspoken words. She found herself staring blankly at her sketchbook, the blank pages reminding her of the conversations that were still trapped inside her head. It was as if her thoughts were caught in a web of doubt, tangled in the fear of rejection from the one person she wanted to understand her most. One evening, she sat on her bed, the soft light of her desk lamp illuminating her sketches scattered across the floor. With a deep breath, she picked up her favorite pencil, the one with the worn-down tip that felt just right against the page. She started to draw, her emotions spilling out in strokes and shades. But the deeper she got into her art, the more her heart ached with each line she drew. Why can't she see? Sophia whispered to herself, frustration bubbling up. The thought of her mother's dismissive words echoed loudly in her mind. She needed to release that frustration, to give her mother a glimpse of what lived inside her heart. Remembering Andrew's suggestion, she set her pencil down and grabbed a fresh sheet of paper, her heart racing at the thought of pouring out her feelings in a letter. "Dear Mom," she began, the words feeling both foreign and familiar. As she wrote, her heart began to unburden itself. She poured out her passion for art, how it made her feel alive, how it was her escape and her world. The more she wrote, the clearer her thoughts became. "Art is my voice," she scribbled fervently, "and it speaks truths that I can't always say aloud." Tears welled in her eyes as she folded the letter, the weight of her emotions lightening just a little. But there was still fear. What if her mom read this and still didn't understand? What if it pushed her further away? That night, she hid the letter in her desk, resolved to give it to her mother at breakfast. Overnight, she tossed and turned, her mind racing with anxieties. She'd taken this first step, but the leap still loomed ahead. When morning arrived, Sophia could barely eat. She felt queasy, and the letter burned a hole in her pocket. As her mom rushed around the kitchen, her usual morning routine echoed through the house. Sophia lingered at the table, clutching her mug tightly, her pulse quickening. "Mom, can we talk?" She finally blurted out, the words rushing out before she could think them through. "I know," her mother said softly, defensiveness creeping into her tone. "But I just worry." I want what's best for you. Can't you see that? Worrying is one thing, but not seeing me is another, Sophia shot back, her voice rising slightly. It was raw. It was real. It was everything she had bottled up inside. You always talk about the future. What if I just want to live in the now? Her mother's eyes softened, the hardness in her expression beginning to crack. I just don't want you to struggle like I did, she said, the walls around her heart faltering. A flicker of understanding passed between them, a moment that felt almost sacred. Sophia took a deep breath. This was new ground for them. What if you helped me? What if we explored this together? They were at a crossroads, and Sophia felt the tremor of possibility beneath her feet. Let me show you my art. Let me show you who I am. Her mother looked down at the letter once more, her fingers trembling slightly. I don't know, Sophia. I've never done anything like that. Neither have I, Sophia murmured, her heart pounding fiercely. But I promise it will be worth it. The silence returned, yet this time it was a different silence, heavy with the weight of unspoken promises and a hope that maybe they could navigate this complicated landscape together. With each passing heartbeat, Sophia felt a shift, the deep-seated connection they once shared beginning to stitch itself back together, until she heard her mother's voice break through that silence. Okay, she finally whispered, uncertainty mingling with tentative excitement. Let's start with one piece. Just one. Sophia's heart soared, but a new worry crept in as she considered if this step would truly lead them into a new chapter, or if it would simply reveal a path of deeper misunderstandings. And as both of them stood on the cusp of revelation, a question lingered in Sophia's mind. Was she ready to dive deeper into her art with her mother by her side, or would her fears hold her back from this new journey ahead? Days turned into weeks, each session between Sophia and Andrew transforming into a vibrant space where laughter and learning mingled freely. Sophia brought her ideas and dreams. Andrew shared stories of ambition and dreams dashed, weaving a tapestry of resilience that showcased both of their strengths. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows of uncertainty, Sophia felt the tug of her mother's last words. The promise of sharing her art kept fluttering in her mind, but the fear of disappointment twisted her stomach. What if her mom rejected not just her art, but her? With each sketch she created, her heart longed for validation. What if at the reveal it didn't resonate? Sophia decided it was time, not just to present her heart's creation, but to weave her journey with her mother into this tapestry of art. Mr. Miller? She ventured one afternoon, her voice carrying her weight of uncertainty. Can I invite my mom to see my art in progress? Andrew's gaze was encouraging. Absolutely. Show her how you express yourself. Maybe art can speak where words can't. For Sophia, that moment turned from a hesitant question into a gentle push toward action, final confirmation that this was a necessary step forward. Okay, she murmured, a sense of determination rising beneath the trembling exterior. I'll do it. The day arrived, bright and echoing with the festivity that new beginnings often carry. Sophia prepared a small array of her favorite sketches and paintings, hanging them on her bedroom walls like precious treasures. The scent of cedar filled the air as she organized everything, each brushstroke imbued with hope and a deep-seated desire to share. She stood back, her heart pounding as she admired her work. Would her mom see her the way Andrew seemed to? Would she understand the passion infused in each stroke? The door swung open, and there was her mother, surprise etched on her face as she took in the colorful creation around her. "What is all this?" her mother asked, stepping into the room, hesitation in her tone. Sophia's voice trembled with excitement mixed with anxiety. "This is my art. I wanted to show you what I've been working on. Each piece means something." Her mother moved slowly around the room, touching the edges of framed drawings with a fingertip, each movement a hesitant dance of discovery. As she examined the details, Sophia held her breath, watching her mother's face shift, each expression a small victory or a potential loss. "I didn't know. You've been working so hard," her mother murmured, her eyes widening. Clarity flooded the atmosphere, a sudden understanding blooming. The shadows in Sophia's heart lightened with each word her mother uttered. With quickened enthusiasm, Sophia shared her pieces, how one drawing captured her vision of a peaceful world, drenched in soft colors that swirled with emotion, while another reflected her dreams of the future, a glimpse of herself in a bustling art studio. "See, this is where I can be," she explained passionately. I didn't know you felt this deeply about art," she said, and Sophia seized that moment of candor. "I want to be an artist, Mom. I want to share my stories with the world. Art is my way of connecting. It's who I am, not just a hobby." As the room filled with gentle silence, reality settled around them, softer now, a shared dream extending with each heartfelt moment. "I think I've been so focused on keeping you safe that I didn't truly see you," she confessed, her voice breaking slightly. "I'm sorry for that. I was scared. But now I can see how much this means to you." Tears brimmed in Sophia's eyes as she grabbed her mother's hands, the warmth radiating between them, palpable, a bridge built from the foundation of understanding. "Can we explore this together? I'd love to have you by my side."